to have Live and Learn play, this is like, and I'm probably going to get clipped out and put on social media for this. This is like a Sonic fans defying gravity. Welcome back to the Breakroom, and while it might be the end of the year, it's also finally time to say, gotta go fast. I'm Evan, the producer here on the Breakroom, and it's time for the Breakroom movie review. That's right, the Breakroom movie review, the last movie review of the year, and also a preview of how we might be doing reviews next year. But today we are talking about Sonic the Hedgehog 3, the latest in Paramount and Sega's Sonic film franchise. We're going to talk about what we liked, what we disliked, and what's next. And at the end, we'll be deciding if this movie deserves a place in the Breakroom Movie Hall of Fame, which again is a little preview of a new thing we're going to be doing in 2025. But of course, I've been saying I couldn't do this alone. Joining me today, we have Evan.
What's up?
That's right, and we also have Evan.
What's up? I can't wait to talk about this movie.
Guys, how is everyone doing today?
Yeah, let's do it. Can't wait.
Great. So let's start with some general feelings. Evan, in the middle, how'd you feel about the movie?
My favorite part was all the gadgets. I mean, look at Tails go. He's flying and everything. Gosh, he's my favorite.
Very cool. And how about you, down across the table?
Yeah, what can I say? I mean, just love the parts with Shadow. I mean, Keanu Reeves absolutely knocked it out of the park as, dare I say, the coolest hedgehog.
Some great points. I'm really excited to get into this movie and hear from you guys as we talk about this film. But before we get into it, a reminder to check out nerdriot.shop, where we have the latest and greatest in New Rockstars merch. We have some Neil merch up now. If you've been watching Skeleton Crew, you know Neil is the standout, the breakout of this show. And if you order it now, while it probably won't come in time for Christmas, it should certainly be there before the end of Skeleton Crew. We can't wait to cover this show into the new year. We're excited to see what these next 2 episodes are going to bring, and we love this new fun design. I just want to go home indeed. But here we go. Sonic the Hedgehog 3, not Skeleton Crew. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is a new film. Of course, it follows Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails, aka Team Sonic, as they combat the mysterious Shadow the Hedgehog, recently freed from his capture by Robotnik's grandfather, Gerald Robotnik. I'll try to not spoil it for a bit, but I'll try to do a full spoilers tag as we kind of go into it. But players of the game should you should be in for a treat, as a lot of story beats are similar. So let's start with things that we liked. Of course, we have to talk about Shadow the Hedgehog. When this post-credit scene happened in the second film, it was mind-blowing, and to see him finally in the film franchise was just next level. I mean, as someone who grew up playing Sonic Adventure Battle 2, constantly fighting over who was gonna play Shadow in the multiplayer games, it was awesome to see him. Awesome to hear him voiced by Keanu Reeves. I'll admit I was a little bit hesitant, but it really, really worked. I thought it was so cool to see what he brought to the character. I mean, you might as well have called this John Wick 5, Night of the Super Cool Hedgehog. Am I right, guys?
Boo.
I gotta go. So, yeah, I mean, everything about Shadow's story is so great. I'm gonna get into a little bit more about the specifics, but the sense of loss, the sense of revenge that Shadow has, and that he is this quest that he's doing, was really quite powerful, I think, and especially for kids. Like, this is obviously first and foremost a kids movie. Gonna get into what that means to me in a little bit, but it was definitely a kids film, and I think that they weren't afraid to kind of like pull punches with what Shadow was doing, and kind of his story and what he's looking for. I think this was a super fun adaptation of like what the Sonic Adventure 2 game was. There are a little bit of tweaks as far as Gerald Robotnik, and there's a lot of elements of Shadow's backstory that haven't quite been explored yet. Where like, what is his origin, and like, how was he created? And that is like a little bit of a change. But I think it was super fun to see. If you've played the game like me, you know that Sonic is on the run from Guardian Union of Nations, the kind of like military team or organization that he's working with in the movie. In the game, he's on the run because Shadow is like doing things across the world, like causing havoc. And they're like, well, there can't be two super fast hedgehogs, right? So I'm glad that they didn't do that, because Sonic has so clearly established himself as as a visitor to Earth, and it would be strange for people to be like, wait, two hedgehogs? I bet that one was also blue, right? Because they look so different. So I think it's really I think that was a good change. You guys have any thoughts on that?
Fake hedgehog? I think you're the fake hedgehog around here.
Yes, insightful. So yeah, I think that was a really good part of the movie. Obviously, everything with Team Sonic was super fun. Like seeing these three characters together, especially when they're at the Chow Garden, that was so funny. Obviously, Jessica and I have been really hoping that this Chow Garden thing would introduce real chows, and for that to just be like a cafe Tails wanted to go to was the funniest thing ever. And when the general sat down, it was truly like everyone in the theater lost it. It was so funny. The kind of the contrast there was awesome. So another thing, and also a fun Easter egg with Team Sonic is when they're racing in the beginning, to see Knuckles and Tails do their like arms folded foot tapping animation was such a fun little Easter egg. And I couldn't get enough of it. I mean, it was awesome to see the three of them like speeding around and hanging out. And I wish we got more of that. One thing I really want to shout out, of course, was Jim Carrey's performance as both Dr. Robotnik and Dr. Gerald Robotnik, Ivo Robotnik and Gerald Robotnik, playing two characters. Really, really some great stuff, and I think properly funny. There's an incredible dance sequence that happens towards the end of the movie that is just like so or in the middle of the movie that's just so out there and so perfectly comedic and perfectly weird. And it's a kind of a great segue into, I think, what these movies have struggled with between the first three films, but mostly in last film, is the balance of not only the tone, the comedic tone with this, obviously this blending of human and CGI characters, and how much you feature the human characters. I think that this film, out of the three, is the most successful of the three, because it not only decides to go fully comedic and set these human characters in such zany situations, but using Jim Carrey's strengths as a comedic actor to push the envelope of how comedic this movie is going to go, to both try to entertain adults, but also like entertain kids. When I used to work with kids in high school, I would always hear them like say lines from trailers. And it really got me thinking about, oh yeah, if you're gonna make a kids movie, you probably want to have something the kids are gonna joke about on the playground. Like I often when I watch trailers these days, and especially if it's a kids trailer, I think about these two kids I used to work with named Liam and Andrew, who would just run around the playground and just like shout things at each other. And there's something like in the Dog Man trailer, if you've seen it, it's this new film about I think from the creator of Captain Underpants, but it's another popular book series turned into a movie. There's so many lines in that feels like this is targeted for a kid to go around and yell on the playground at his friends. And I think that this movie also has those moments while still keeping in mind, like, there is there are parents watching this who probably want to have a good time too. And I think it really does a pretty solid job at trying to keep the parents entertained by really elevating those human characters into the right types of moments in order to make a lot of their moments seem earned while not really detracting from the Team Sonic of it all. I definitely have some criticism of that, but we'll certainly get into that in a bit. Guys, you have any thoughts on that?
Alrighty, we're in.
Yeah, I could see that. So I also wanted to shout out actor Cristo Fernandez, best known I think as Danny Rojas from Ted Lasso. Uh, all of his stuff in the telenovela is another great example of something that makes a movie like this work. To give you some context, there's this, kind of soap opera thing playing throughout the movie. Eggman is watching it as he's kind of recovering from this, post Sonic the Hedgehog 2 depression. And they're so funny. They call back to it in such great ways. And he is, and like I said, again, it's another one of these comedic beats for this movie that make the tone of the film really work. And I think it's just so fun overall. And of course, we have to talk about something that I remember seeing Twitter users, X users, post about when the second trailer was first played. The Live and Learn needle drop. Now, there's a very important battle scene at the end of the movie, and Live and Learn is the song that opens up the Sonic Adventure 2 game. There's a lot of great tracks on that game, of course, like City Escape, all of the Knuckles songs. To have Live and Learn play, this is like, and I'm probably gonna get clipped out and put on social media for this. This is like a Sonic fans defying gravity. Like, this is the way that this whole moment worked was so out there and wild. And I certainly have some criticisms of it, but just to hear the music in the theaters was so awesome. Guys, what do you think when you saw it?
When we're done, there won't be anything left.
Don't worry, everything will be okay. Okay, got it. Yeah, great stuff overall. We also want to thank one of our other sponsors today, True Classic, who makes comfortable, good-looking clothes more affordable than ever. And December is the perfect month to check them out. True Classic sells t-shirts, hoodies, and jeans that are perfect additions to any wardrobe. They're super soft and super comfortable and perfect for cozy winter layering. True Classic offers a ton of bundles and multi-pack options. If you find something you like, it's easy to double down and get your wardrobe that much more dialed in. The holidays are here, and True Classic's ultra comfortable, perfect fitting essentials make for the perfect gift for you and anyone in your life. So if you're ready to upgrade your closet, shop now and unlock big savings during their huge holiday sale. Just go to use our exclusive link at trueclassic.com/breakroom to save. That's trueclassic.com/breakroom. Support our show and let them know we sent you. End the year with some holiday cheer thanks to True Classic. All right. So, of course, there's a lot of things I really like about this movie, but let's talk about some things that didn't quite work for us. So I talked about this Live and Learn needle drop. Obviously, so good. But when I say it's like defying gravity, it's really interesting because like it kept going back to Robotnik. It kept being interrupted by Robotnik and Gerald Robotnik, and it was like pretty, tough because those moments I thought were funny, but maybe not quite not worth cutting back to. I could see maybe like a note about we're spending too much time with the Live and Learn scene. We haven't gotten, we don't know what Robotnik's up to. We don't know where they're, like doing things and like what's exactly happening while Live and Learn is going on with the Team Sonic characters. So I can see that being a little bit of something that irked me. I was like, I'd love to see this one continuous battle scene. And if you had maybe introduce the Robotnik stuff earlier or later, there was definitely a way to make that work. But yeah, I wish that was a little bit more continuous. But I think kind of zooming out there, I think maybe the bigger problem that I had with the movie was maybe some of the pacing and character relationships. I think specifically when I have these issues when it comes to sequel films, I had a similar issue with Guardians 3 where I feel like it's telling me that they're a team without showing the actual growth that they've had as a team per se. I wanted to see more moments of Team Sonic in the Chow Garden or more moments of them working together to make kind of Sonic's journey a little bit more important. Obviously, this feels like more of a Shadow movie than Sonic, and I think Shadow's journey is fully paid off. But in that sense, you maybe don't need to have Sonic, do kind of go on this like emotional journey that he does, where eventually he feels like he kind of has to be the sole hero and not work with his friends. It's a very interesting way we get there. I'm not quite sure at all worked for me, but also I'm not the intended audience, right? This is a movie for kids, and I'm not a kid anymore.
Boo.
I gotta go.
Boo.
So yeah, that's something I'm curious to hear from people about. I'm curious for you guys. Did you guys have any issues with it?
Chaos control.
Yeah, control. We're gonna get into a little bit more of that in the rest of the episode. Yeah, so that's something I wish we had more of. Team Sonic just kind of like palling around, hanging out, working together to really make some great scenes happen. Whereas it really seemed like the Shadow and Gerald Robotnik as the story engine, kind of pushing things along, and you know, we've really only gotten Sonic to the Knuckles show, and the Knuckles show didn't even have Sonic and Tails really. So it would have been nice to see them again working together as a solid team, as Team Sonic, working together to do some stuff. But again, it's a kids movie, you know. It's not. We're not out here making cinema, folks. We're here to entertain, and I think ultimately the movie is very entertaining for all the things that I've said before. I have a small nitpick about voice acting not really matching the animation. I think that there are moments in the film where Keanu Reeves and Ben Schwartz are giving such great performances that I think the way the character models are currently doesn't quite lend itself to being as full of expression as their voices are delivering on. So I think there's a little bit of a mismatch there, but ultimately, like, it's all great performances across the board. The fact that you can have, you know, the CGI character who was obviously, you know, ridiculed upon initial release, to have this character work so well, and Ben Schwartz has brought so much to it, I think is such an achievement. And maybe you know, I've seen some threads online about how the Sonic details and things have been changed over each movie, like slightly. So I'll be curious to see if they feel that way too, leading into the next movie, Sonic the Hedgehog 4, which was officially announced on the day of the release. So that's kind of where I'm at. So that, I think that's how I've been feeling about the movie. Guys, anything you want to add?
Come on, Sonic.
Okay. Yeah. And what about you?
Maria.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. Yeah, I think both great points across the board. There's definitely some pros, some cons. Obviously, the highest rated movie of the film franchise so far, and I do think that that's a correct and accurate place for this movie to be. So as of Thursday, December 19th, premiere day, we got the official announcement of a Sonic the Hedgehog 4, with Paramount eyeing a spring 2027 release. So where does the franchise go from here? Full spoilers from this point out. If you don't want to be spoiled about the movie, if you haven't seen it yet, feel free to tune out at this point, and come back later for some theories and from thoughts on the 2 post-credit scenes. There's 2 of them, so stick around for the whole time. So the post-credit scene gave us, I mean, listen, folks, the theater. I mean, this theater in general, I think I forgot to touch on that earlier. People were clapping. I was like, is this Avengers Endgame? Like, this was all, like, the theater experience opening night was wild. But the post-credit scene, obviously every single post-credit scene of every single Sonic movie has been huge. Always a new character introduction, and it's been so great. And this one gives us 2 new characters. We got the introduction of Metal Sonics, plural, and Amy, and we're gonna get to this silver guy in a little bit, but Metal Sonics and Amy on the left, Metal Sonic on the right. This is exciting. Metal Sonic and Amy were first introduced in Sonic the Hedgehog CD way back in the 90s, 93. This was a year before Knuckles was introduced. So we're going back to some core characters, reaching further back into the franchise. However, the movie has changed the kind of like origin logic, and there's a lot of questions up in the air about where these characters are, how they relate to each other. Are they from the same planet, from different planets? It's also really interesting that they are just like all comfortable going from planet to planet. So my first kind of like theory about where this franchise is going to go, obviously we have Metal Sonic, we have Amy. They're introduced in Sonic Sonic the Hedgehog CD, where it's about this thing called the Little Planet, which is introduced, which shows up above a lake on Earth for 1 month out of the year. So it's gonna be a pretty tiny planet. That's great. That's great. In the game, Robotnik is after the Time Stone, so he can control time. And Amy is there because she has kind of predicted that she would have a run-in with Sonic, the love of her life, and Metal Sonic was created by Dr. Robotnik, by Dr. Eggman, to challenge Sonic. So obviously already a few in movie universe questions here. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 ends with Shadow and Dr. Eggman, Dr. Robotnik doing pretty much sacrificing themselves for Earth, to save Earth. They take the Eclipse cannon in space and they push it out as far as possible before it explodes. So where's Dr. Eggman? We don't know if he survives. We don't know what he's doing. I'll get into the shadow of a bit, but we don't know if he would have created a Metal Sonic before he left, or if he created it at all. But with these time stones, it's very possible that we're going to be dealing with time travel if this is how Amy is arriving on Earth. And it could also be the best time to introduce that character we showed earlier, Silver the Hedgehog. Silver the Hedgehog is a, kind of time traveling hedgehog 200 years in the future who comes back in order to make sure his future is safe. Silver, I think, is a character that when I started growing out of the Sonic franchise is one that was introduced. And I always wanted the game. I never got it. But I think he's a character that's been used in Sonic Boom, and so younger fans are very familiar with Silver now. And the fact that this post-credit scene gave us the introduction of two characters is really interesting, and I think that it might need, I can't wait to see what they do with Amy's whole kind of thing in the game, so that she was in love with Sonic. And I think that whole thing could probably just use some updating. So if they bring in Silver as well, it could be a really interesting way to also bring back a future Robotnik or a multiversal Robotnik. I don't want them to go multiverse. I'll say it right now, but they could. So the other thing that's on my mind in this post-credit scene is the emerald. So, that scene we talked about earlier, live and learn, the big needle drop is Sonic and Shadow, Shadow realizing, oh, maybe I shouldn't destroy the Earth with the Eclipse Cannon. Sonic and Shadow team up, and they seemingly split the power of the Chaos Emeralds to both go Super Sonic, Super Shadow, and the movie ends with Shadow, sacrificing himself. But in the last post-credit scene, Shadow, you see Shadow's foot, and it's picking up what looked like to be one of his limiter rings. So did he crash land on Earth or somewhere else? It's very possible that he, if Knuckles is like, yo, Sonic, you broke the Master Emerald and now you split the Chaos Emeralds apart. If they need to get the emeralds back together, we could see a hunt for the emeralds enlisting the help of Rouge the Bat in order to get Shadow from wherever he is back to Earth, or vice versa, that they go on this emerald hunting thing. And we can reach further back in the lore, maybe do some more time travel and introduce Tikal, who is one of the echidnas who also in the games was protecting the Master Emerald. So there's a lot of possibilities. But one thing I've really appreciated about this series and this film franchise is the restraint and its introduction of the characters. Could have been so easy to do a cash grab and have the end of Sonic the Hedgehog 2 with Tails, Knuckles, and Sonic as a team be the end of the first movie. But they've been very, very restrained in how they've kind of doled these characters out. There's such a plethora of characters, and especially characters that have been made popular by Sonic Boom, and younger audience know that these characters all hang out and live together. So it's been a great way to see how the creators have decided to space the introductions of these characters. Each post-credit scene previously had given us the tease of one new character. We had Tails, the first one, Shadow in the second one, but now we get two, Metal Sonic and Amy, both who have, maybe their stories aren't as fleshed out. Amy gets a lot more to do later on in the franchise, but originally she is just kind of like this hedgehog looking for love. So if they introduce Silver, I don't think it would be an overkill. Silver or Rouge. I don't think a third character would be an overkill, but it would definitely have to serve the plot moving forward. And also, I don't think they would want to do these movies without Jim Carrey, so they would probably want to bring him back. But yeah, I don't know. It's very up in the air right now where they go. But I mean, that tease is awesome, and I can't wait to see where it goes. All the theorizing of this is almost more fun because like you can just think about these insane theories. Like if you watch that other video I made earlier this year, I was just rambling for an hour about what I thought might happen in this movie, and you get a much more smaller and focused and also successful story because they're very determined to make this one character work. And obviously you can't kill off Shadow. So definitely, I'd love to hear what you guys think in the comments. Leave a comment where you think this movie is going to go, where Sonic the Hedgehog 4 is going to go. Evan jumping in to say, we want to thank one of our sponsors, Mando. Zach isn't here to sing their praises, but I am. And as a proud Mando user, I gotta say, this stuff really works. Like, it really does. Mando is a whole body deodorant, and when we say whole body, we mean whole body. They asked us to start with a question that's a little not safe for work, but see if you can follow this metaphor instead. If your baseballs smell like foul balls, Mando has deodorant for you. And if you got a problem with that metaphor, take it up with Berg. Mando's whole body deodorant comes in 3 forms: invisible spray, solid stick, and invisible cream. It's clinically proven 72-hour odor control, so it's perfect for long days at the game or at the bar, or if you're like me, running around town and no time to take a break. You really do smell good all day because it stops odor before it starts, and it's safe to use on your entire body, pits, package, feet, and everywhere in between. Mando comes in 4 cologne quality scents: bourbon leather, Mount Fuji, Pro Sport, and Clover Woods. I'm a solid stick bourbon leather on the pits kind of person myself, but you can choose whatever good smell you like to cover up your stinkiest area. Mando starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. New customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use code BREAKROOM at shopmando.com, shopmando.com. Support our show and let them know we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando. And lastly, today we want to thank our sponsor, Via, makers of premium federally legal cannabis products. This holiday season, unwind and recharge with Via. Whether you're enjoying a quiet evening at home or embracing the festive cheer, Via's premium THC and THC-free gummies will help you find your perfect holiday balance. I, for one, am looking forward to treating myself to an Elevate gummy and burrowing into a bowl of my favorite holiday food. All of Via's products are grown indoors and in state-of-the-art facilities and harvested at peak THCA levels to emphasize a natural aroma and flavor. They add strains to their selection every week, so there's always something new to check out. Via has THC and THC-free gummies, vapes, topicals, and drops, all of which are crafted with the highest quality hemp sourced from trusted, independently owned American farms. Plus, Via legally ships to nearly all states in the US in discreet packaging directly to your door with a worry-free guarantee, no medical card required. This holiday season, gift yourself some peace of mind. If you're 21 and over, check out the link to Via in our description. For a limited time during the holidays, Via is offering 25% off site-wide, plus up to 50% off select items and bundle. If you're hearing this ad post-sale, you can still save by using code BREAKROOM for 25% off. After you purchase, they ask you where you heard about them. Let them know we sent you. Support our show this holiday season and enhance your everyday with Via. All right, Kadosha in the chat saying Shadow is literally Neo. Yes, very, very funny. I think Keanu Reeves does a great job in this movie. And the way it's very subtle. And I think, there's some scenes in John Wick that are like, maybe he's trying a little too much, but it's also funny and also works. I was a little bit worried. And again, I think this is just successful just across the board. All right. Ryan Painter asking here, gotta ask the question, dream casting for Amy and Silver. So I'm not super familiar with Silver's whole deal. I think his character has changed a lot since he was first introduced. He might be a little bit more comedic right now. Obviously a great comp for him is Booster Gold. Just a time traveler from the future coming back to fix the past and also be a little bit not quite sure how the past works. Ooh, yeah, because Amy doesn't have she doesn't have any lines in the post-credit scene. Oh my god, who would be a great Amy? It depends because that character is so tough. because all she does is like she's kind of like Miss Piggy in the sense, where she's like, I love Sonic, nobody get in my way. And I think that's like a little lame, or like it's just a little dated. And I feel like they want to do much more with her. And I would want to see much more with her. I mean, her hammer was so cool when that happened. It was like, I'm not going to say it was the levels of introduction of Sora in Super Smash Brothers, but it was certainly up there. God, I just got to pick an actress. Who would do it? You know what? Calling it right now. They get Isabella Merced. That's who they get for Amy. Yeah, I think that. Yeah, that feels right. Or. Yeah, that feels right. And then Silver. Let's get a comedian in Silver. Let's get Kyle Mooney. There we go. Manifesting it right now. What's your favorite Sonic property, game, show, movie, comic, or anything else? I think it would have to be Sonic Adventure Battle 2, but Sonic Heroes is definitely what I spent the most time playing. Evan, when I heard you were 3 different people, I laughed out loud in my car. Not sure what you mean by that one. Didn't people want... Okay, who are we talking about here? I've seen people wanting Hayden Christensen for Silver. Oh, interesting. That is interesting. I could see him doing that. I could also see him doing Shadow. Yeah, I think both great choices. Hitting. I think it would be great. Gabriel Iglesias for Silver. Hey, would be a choice. All right, let's get into this last part of the review here. So something we're going to be trying to do in the new year is build a Hall of Fame for the movies that we talk about on the channel. Does this movie deserve a spot in the Breakroom's Hall of Fame? So let's talk about it. Does Sonic the Hedgehog 3 belong in the Breakroom Hall of Fame for 2024? So I think with kids media, there's a big opportunity to say something of substance, whether it be in the foreground or in subtext, while still working for audiences of all ages. And sometimes you get that as aces across the board. Most Pixar films, of course, Bluey, of course. And while Sonic might not hit that sweet spot, it does remind me of movies that have made lasting impacts on me as a creative individual, but have not been as rewarding to revisit. Movies like Digimon the movie or any of the first 3 Pokemon films. This is to say, these are movies that I think about once every couple months. Visual moments have stuck in my mind or live in my head rent-free, as the kids would say, be it the nuclear missiles arcing across the background in Digimon or any of the darker moments in the first 3 movies of the Pokemon movies dealing with loss and prophecy. No matter how much I feel about the end product overall, revisiting those films as an adult, those moments and those images will always mean something to me as as a creative person. And had I seen Sonic 3 as a kid, I think this would be no different. The way the movie introduces loss and sacrifice, while at some points maybe you don't think the resolution quite works out, I think it's perfect for an elementary schooler or a middle schooler. I mean, a child dies in this movie. Just straight up, she dies. And I think that cut, of course, is very important. And Jim Carrey's face as Gerald Robotnik, when he's looking up at Shadow in tears, that moment caught me so off guard. It's so emotional. The performance is so convincing. It's very visually, it just reminded me of when Tom Holland is trying to save Marissa Tomei in Spider-Man No Way Home. Obviously there's just stuff on fire happening, but like the emotions in that scene for a movie of this caliber is just it's really hard to make that stuff work, and I think it really, really works. It's a genuine moment of loss that again caught me off guard, and the way the movie builds itself around earning that moment and Shadow's desire for revenge, and then to acquire revenge, and then also become better at the end. I think this is something that kids will really resonate with, or I hope they do, and it will stick with them beyond just the bits and the dance scenes and all the jokes. I've always loved a good team story, but a story about loss and sacrifice hits a little bit harder, and I think this movie does deliver on that. And so while I think ultimately this movie does not make the Breakroom Hall of Fame or even my personal Hall of Fame, A time-traveling 7-year-old might have thought a little bit different. All right, so we've hit some thoughts from the chat in today's episode, but before we wrap it up, I'm seeing a hand from our producer in the box. What do we got?
Hey, so we got a question from the chat. Of course, shout out to the early crew for hanging out on Twitch and chatting along before the show starts. But question from the chat here. How fleshy was the movie?
Yes. Okay. How fleshy is the movie? I gotta say the movie was pretty fleshy. I think that there's a lot to chew on, especially if you're a kid and you still got your baby scary Sonic teeth in. There's a lot there on the bone, and I certainly think it's got some flesh there. I'm seeing another hand up.
All right, we got another question here from the chat. How many tiny kisses were given out in the movie? How many tiny kisses were there in Sonic the Hedgehog 3? Do you remember, Evan, how many?
Yeah, okay, tiny kisses. Guys, what do you think? You got any thoughts about the tiny kisses in the movie? Maria. Yeah, indeed. Thoughts?
Come on, Sonic.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think there's there might be one actual kiss in the movie. Maybe not as many as tiny kisses, but you know, hey, if it's any indication, Sonic might be getting some tiny kisses in 2027. All right, I'm seeing a final hand up for a final shout out over here.
Yes, thank you so much for watching, whether you watch us live on Twitch or catch us on the simulcast, Twitch and YouTube, or you're just watching after the fact on YouTube. Thank you so much for supporting the Break Room this year. We got really close to 100,000 subscribers, and we're really excited to kick off the new year. It's going to be a great year of content, so we're excited to have you along for the ride. You know, you don't know what's in store for next year. All right, back to you, Evan.
Truly. I mean, I couldn't have said it any better myself. Thank you guys so much for watching and supporting the Break Room, for supporting all these experimental videos, and also, of course, our normal videos. We're looking to do a lot of great stuff next year, be it covering movies, TVs, doing more experiential stuff, whatever that means. Really excited for what next year brings and what we get to do on the channel. And we couldn't do it without you if you're watching on Twitch, if you're watching on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching, of course. That's it for us today. Make sure to subscribe to the Break Room channel on YouTube and give us a follow on Twitch, where we do these videos live. Follow Break Room NR on Instagram, Twitter, and Threads, all social channels. And we'll catch you later. See ya.
Ya.